There are copies of the bills on the website, and I'm going to be talking about the website a little more. You'll notice what it is on the announcements, the rally announcement that should have been at each table. If you didn't get one, there are some up front. Now, once the members of the full committee see the bill, they review the bill, they'll read the bill, there'll be those who want to try to amend the bill. Okay, so that's something we have to be aware of. I wanted to state also that at these committee meetings, they generally will allow some of the public to give testimony. Now, if 50, 60, 70 of us show up, not all of us will get to give testimony at these hearings. But you should have key people from these organizations that can come up, and I would say the leaders of these organizations, to come up and give testimony. Let them know what organization you represent, and so they know that you've got thousands behind you. Yes?
Please be aware that Philip Van Cleve was just at the Richmond City Council last week, and he put his name down, but he never got up in front of the cameras. They had turned off the cameras after they finally brought him up, and that was after some arbitration going on between people. And he finally was able to get up, but then there was no cameras recording him on the Richmond City Council at that point. I had already volunteered when I was around Richmond to head there with my cameras.
So, in other words, the
committee
city council is opposed to the Second Amendment, that's what we're saying.
In fact, tonight he's down in Virginia Beach going against that mayor down there, the Bloomberg organization right now.
Thank you. Once the bill has been voted on in committee, if it's voted to move out of committee, it will then go to the floor for a vote. Once it has been voted on the floor, now this is in the House, it will then, there'll be a crossover, and that's the second half of session. That's, the same thing occurs on the Senate side. It'll go to committee. The committee will vote on the bill. There may or may not be amendments to the bill. And some, be aware also, they may have amendments that turn that bill around and make it so bad that we'll vote against our own bill because it's something we won't want. So be aware that that could happen. Once it is voted out of committee and it goes to the floor for a vote, there is a crossover halfway into session. Session on an even year is 60 days long. On an odd year, it's 30 days. So this year we have a nice long session. But that can work against us. Gives the other side a lot longer to lobby, so we have to stay with it. And we can't let out. And crossover, the same thing happens. Our House bill will go to a Senate committee. Again, we'll want to be at that committee and give testimony. Again, the bill could get amended.
What was the time frame on? What was the session time frame?
The session, on an even year, it's 60 days.
45 and 9.
Well, it's supposed to be 30, but they do have the option of allowing it to be 45. What they tell you actually is that session is 45 days. So one year it's 30 and the next year it's 60. Well, if you were to average that, it's 45 days. But the way the law reads, they can hold it to 30. The way their rules read.
Don,
Yes.
is there a conscious effort to start this on the House side instead of the Senate side?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Is there a conscious effort to start?
I mean, it looks like you tried to start on the House side and then it'll cross over to the Senate, or it could start on either side.
Yes, we did start it on the House side.
For any
And
particular
we
reason.
have also been working to get it going on the Senate side. I have sent both bills to, we wanted the health care bill to be carried by Jill Vogel. And we've sent it to her, she has not responded. The gun bill we sent to Senator Wampler, and he has not responded. Now, I have had other senators step forward and tell me they would be willing to carry the bill, but I'm not ready to let them go to anyone other than those that we selected. And there's a reason for selecting them. We need someone who will fight for the legislation. They're going to be the ones who are up there in committee meetings fighting for the passage of those bills. And that's why it's important that we be selected and who's actually going to carry it. Yes.
Can we put pressure on them even now to respond?
Absolutely, absolutely. By all means. So that would be the exception to these committee members, would be the two that we've asked in the Senate to carry the bill. For example, we've had Senator Martin has offered to carry the health care bill. Well, I like Senator Martin. He votes the way we want him to most of the time. He thinks like most of us do. But Senator Martin is not a leader in the Senate. We want his vote. We'd like to have him co-sponsor, but he would not be the one to fight in front of a committee meeting for that legislation. We want those who will. And I'm going to tell you, Jill Vogel is a relatively new senator. And some people have asked me, why Jill Vogel? But if you had heard her argue for our anti-real ID legislation last year on the Senate floor, she was absolutely amazing, and she really was very effective. So she is very much becoming a leader in the Senate. Yes?
She's also formed the Commonwealth Caucus, which is 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. which is
Exactly.
Very effective.
Exactly. And it's all, I'm also told that it's likely she's going to be chairing a committee coming up in this session. I don't know which one.
Where's she from? Winchester. Uganda.
Yes.
Just to clarify, if people are calling Vogel and Wampler, since we're asking them to carry the bill, we want to be nice.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be mean. And, and the reason for getting Wampler is just because, he's kind of considered one of the gang of 5 in the Senate that either makes something happen or kills something. And so if you can get him to sponsor your bill, then the likelihood of you getting to the Senate is tremendously higher than if it's one of the other senators. So, he's usually really good on gun stuff. So we want to make sure that we're being kind and not being mean.
Well, you want to be that way with all of them on the committees as well,
Right.
because they can vote against you and kill it right in committee, and it never gets to the floor for a vote. So you definitely want to be very friendly and courteous. Tell them that you have a bill you'd like to have them take a look at. As for the health care bill, you can send them a copy of the legislation. However, make them aware that Bob Marshall is working for a constitutional amendment, and it is likely he will be changing the language of our health care bill to make it an even stronger bill.